Now we are beginning Module 3, which will be looking at student access and the dynamic assessment. So we will unpack what the dynamic assessment does in the background, working out how students will adapt throughout an assessment, and also what it looks like from a student's perspective. We'll have a look at a student's perspective when they log in to begin an assessment. We'll talk about how we use the teacher-led support to orient students to the assessment and remind you that the audio accessibility is a function that we encourage all learners to use. Let's have a look at the dynamic infographic. So the dynamic infographic lets us see how a dynamic assessment will work for our students. So if we have allocated a stage 2 as the best fit for our student, which will offer level 3 and level 4 questions, when the students begin the assessment, they start with the level 3 or the year 3 content, according to the syllabus codes. If the student achieves 50% or greater of that content or the syllabus codes, they will move on to level 4 questions after they reach the checkpoint. So we'll discuss the checkpoint. At the end of the first set of questions, the students will be stopped and that will be their first checkpoint. If the students do not achieve at least 50% of understanding of that particular content or the questions that have been offered at that year level, they will be dropped down to the stage below. And this is where they will continue with the assessment, and they will need to show that same amount of understanding to be offered both year levels for that stage. The assessment will then finish. The students are not dropped down any lower, but the students also cannot come back up to the stage where they began. If the student, however, at the other end receives 80% or greater in levels 3 and 4, then the student will be offered questions within the next stage, so the year 5 content. The student can continue to show 80% of understanding to be offered higher year levels. So our best advice is that we offer the best fit, because we don't want the students to continue going and going through their assessment and creating quite a long assessment. From the student's perspective, this is what will happen when the students begin their assessment. They will see a pop-up on their screen. Students will normally cross this pop-up out without reading the important details. There is audio accessibility for the students, but let's unpack what we need to tell our students. You are about to undertake a dynamic assessment. You will reach checkpoints. At checkpoints, you must review your answers. So we train our students to go back and have that review process as a good strategy as an assessment capable learner. Because once they hit go and go past the checkpoint, they will be locked out of that level of questions and they can no longer change their answers. This is the same as what happens to students within NAPLAN. When they reach the checkpoint, this is what students will see on their screen. So they have those options to go back and review and check their answers. And then once they hit go, they will be moved forward to the next level and they will be locked out of the questions that they have just completed. The students do not know where dynamic has shifted them to. They will just continue moving through their assessment. Also, we advise that students who are reaching their cognitive load at the point of the dynamic may wish to have a quick break. So depending on the age of your learners, this is their option to have a brain break if they are reaching that fatigue level, because if they continue moving through the assessment, it may skew your data. On the teacher dashboard, when we click into a student, and this is Myra's assessment, we can see that Myra was dynamically shifted up. So she would have started in the stage 2 and now her new stage has been allocated to stage 3 because the upward arrow indicates that she was moved forward in her assessment. The stage now replicates across to the next data collection, whether it is a mid or a post. In this case, it only has a pre and a post assessment. Let's take a look now at the dynamic shift down. The student has been adjusted down, which indicates that that student started at stage 1 and was moved down to early stage 1. And because this is a common grade assessment, the early stage 1 has been allocated across the mid and post. Now, because we're not going to turn the dynamic on at the mid and post collection, we can manually adjust this and shift that learner back into the stage 1 content. We are going to take a look at our assessment through viewing teacher-led support to lead our students through an orientation to their assessment. Using our drop-down arrow once again, we hover over the stage we wish to demonstrate for our learners. We hover across and down to teacher-led support. Here we will see that we have the assessment in front of our students, and we can lead our assessment capable skills such as reading the question is always at the top of the screen, reminding our students about that accessibility and the audio support for each and every question. Please be aware that the audio accessibility is automatically on for the mathematics assessments, but can be turned on for English assessments as it is not automatically in the on position, and the audio is not provided within the English assessment unless you choose to turn that on. Reminding our students about the sketchpad, and we've already unpacked how we can teach our students the use of the sketchpad, and reminding our students before they begin the assessment when to use the I don't know yet. Within the teacher-led support, you also have the ability to preview the pre, and in this case the mid, because it is a New South Wales Common Grade, and the post. So there are the ways that you can see the variable or variation of questions as we move through those 3 different data collection points. From a student's perspective, let's have a look now. So when our students sign in and we have only allocated 1 assessment, it will make it much easier for our students to locate and begin their assessment. So the students will tap into the number and algebra circle, because this is what the strand where the assessment has been set. The blue dot does give the students an indication of the assessments that's ready to go. Clicking into our number and algebra, we can see here that we currently have a New South Wales Common Grade assessment turned on, and we also have a flexi assessment. So these are the assessments that we will unpack that you can create yourself. It would be best if the flexi was turned off so that the students are only greeted with the one that you would like them to complete. Otherwise, they are not sure which one to go to. So that's just a little reminder that our dashboard, exact replication of what the students will see on their screens. Clicking into our Common Grade assessment, we can see that we have the pre-assessment for our Common Grade ready to start. Our mid and our post have been locked, and the My Numeracy is our formative assessment. There will not be any activities in the My Numeracy until the students have completed the pre-assessment. So this will have no activities at this stage. It is based on pre-assessment data. We also are going to show you how to unset the My Numeracy activities so that they are not greeted with these straight away, because we do not want the students accessing their formative assessment until after we have taught them what they have misunderstood. So we do our teaching and then we do our check-in using My Numeracy. Let's click the start button and see what is happening here, because this has been turned on as a dynamic assessment. So here is our pop-up. So once the students have taken in that pop-up, which you will already have explained to them, they may begin their assessment. So that is how the students will access their assessments and what it looks like from the student's screen. When they have completed their assessment, they may finish. If they do not finish the assessment in one sitting, they can go home. They do not have to submit, because they can resume the assessment at another point in time. It will remember where they are up to. This is particularly useful for our junior learners, as the assessments can be quite long and the amount of questions can be too long in one sitting for our students. That is the completion of our Module 3.
Our new student portal has just been launched onto our platform. In order to show the student experience, we can access this using the drop-down of the student login details. This is called the Experience Student Portal. Before I take you into the Experience Student Portal mode, we must check our Manage Class Assessments and our assessment options, because this is how we will be able to see the options we have turned on and the assessments. We want to ensure that students are not overwhelmed with many assessments turned on at once. Whatever is turned on within our Manage Class Assessments tab will reflect onto our students' screen. With our New South Wales syllabus, we need to make sure that we have checked all of the tabs, because if you have flexi assessments in the on position, they will also reflect onto the students' screens. So if we have turned on this particular assessment, that is all that will show on our screen. When we turn them off, We can reenact them or re-enable them once we are ready to collect the next point in time data collection. So if I'm going to turn on this particular assessment that hasn't been allocated before, when we come into Experience Student Portal, we'll be able to see that is what is turned on. And if we want to show where my numeracy or my literacy are, it will not show the activities that are set within there, but it will show students where to access these particular options. We can see here that we only have one circle for our students and we only have one assessment waiting there. We can preview the assessment. It will provide a sample within the stage that you are teaching. So if you've got variability or differentiation in your class, it won't show a sample of everything, but this also enables you to see what it looks like, the screen and the assessment from the student's point of view. So you can lead the students through the assessment in that way and talk about the various features, where the question is located, where the audio support is, where the I don't know yet is. Now, if you enable the sketchpad under your assessment options, it will also drop in here. So let's have a look there. So the sketchpad was not enabled, so that will also be if you want to show the students how to access the sketchpad. The dynamic function, when it's in the on position, usually provides a pop-up for the students. This does not reflect in this student portal mode currently, and we can show the students though the reflection. So if you make your way through that assessment, it will show the reflection at the end. This does not generate any data onto our whole school data set, so this is it's blocked from providing any data. It's just a student portal experience for our students to be able to see what it looks like on their screens. If we've enabled all the apps in the on position, that's what we'll show on, and we can show you the students where to access. You cannot click into the apps. So once again, the student portal has some features that we can click into. So to access the apps, we can see here that we click on the gaming controller. We can see what the apps look like, but we can't click any further into the apps. When I was mentioning before about the sketchpad, if we enable the sketchpad, we can show and demonstrate the sketchpad in a live format, so we can actually open up the sketchpad and show the students how to use some of these tools. So that is a really great way to explicitly show students that the sketchpad will provide them with the ability to show their mathematical thinking or their metacognition, and it does attach to the assessment when the students are logged in. So that is how we can explain or show the students the experience from their perspective.